of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at prisonplanet.tv.
What we've
interchanging mind control, come let the revolution take its toll. If you could flick a switch and open your third eye, you'd see that we should never be afraid to die. Rise up and take the power back. It's time a fat cat's had a heart attack. You know that their time's coming to an end. We have to unify and watch our flag ascend.
Awesome music. Man, that is awesome news. And I'm so proud of the fact that for now a couple of years on their official site, they are big fans of this show. I've interviewed Bellamy before, but the only links they have are to Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com, at least last time I checked. And when Glenn Beck came out and endorsed him and said he loved him, they put a message out saying, we don't want to be endorsed by you. But when I had Bellamy on, I didn't think to even get his number. And then didn't even try to get him back on for like a year later. And once we tried to get him a hold of him, I mean, no way to get through his management because you know they're getting hit with, they just get bigger and bigger, total superstars. But it doesn't matter. I just wanted to get him back on the show. We feel the love from far away. And Bellamy's also worn Infowars shirts on stage, Terror Storm. He's made handmade ones, plugging our films on national TV. We will be victorious. We've got to unite and watch our flag ascend. But Matthew Bellamy, I mean, he makes tens of millions of dollars a year because people want to buy his music. Should he have to give his money away? I mean, I'm sure he lives in England. They pay more than 60% in one form of tax or another. Is it okay for Bellamy to keep 40% of his money and hire and employ all these people? Is he a bad guy because he's rich now? Because his ideas were popular? That's what freedom's all about. You know, this idea of collectivism, I've seen novels and short films out there, can't place the name at the time, of, you know, a nightmare future where somebody's tall and handsome so they deform their face, or somebody's an athlete so they cut their hamstring, where everybody has all these weird things attached to them to make sure everybody's the same. All of us have certain gifts that others don't have. I have the gift of discernment, of analysis, but without love, as Corinthians, I was reading Corinthians this morning, and I meant to come over to this room where we're doing the show out of and read from Corinthians today. In fact, I'm going to call Richard right now. I think he's over at the other room, and to bring my Bible over here. I'm sorry we don't want to hear the Bible, but I was reading Corinthians with my children this morning, and I don't thump the Bible. I just know it's beautiful. Let me call Richard here real quick. Well, you guys are there. I know my wife's out of the room. She went to the grocery store. Will you guys call Richard and tell him don't go to a bunch of trouble? But before Pieczenik comes on, if we have time, get my son's workbook where we were copying Corinthians. That way it'll all be there and real simple and just a few lines I want to read. But as with love, you know, when you stop loving your fellow humanity, everything turns into a cesspool. Everything falls apart. And when you do care about others, and when you care about truth and justice, it creates a better and better society. And we have a world run by very cold-blooded, wicked people. A lot of them aren't even cold-blooded. They're very hot-blooded. They're wicked and enjoy hurting people, and enjoy ugliness, and enjoy pain, and enjoy lies, and enjoy degradation. And they try to sell us on torture and gladiatorial events and all of this. But then they target others in, oh, we want to take care of you. We're the nanny state. situation. Now, I want to go back to your calls and then into Fast and Furious and then some other news I have here. Robots to aid troop patrols. Told you that's coming. This is a very dangerous trend because it's going to phase out humans, and then the globalists can have their own private mechanized armies that will follow orders. Also, budget cuts hit county, city jobs. Payroll losses add to U.S. jobless rate. I want to get into that. I haven't talked enough about this New York Times cover story today. I mean, just look at that. Just amazing. Talking about the fact that the protests are really very diverse. It's got in the Fed. It's got reform corporate welfare. It's got young, educated, unemployed. That is a big part of folks that are upset. Stop the wars. A lady that has one that says, I'm very upset. And it says, countless grievances, one thread, we're angry. And then they got a guy down here in the lower left-hand corner wearing an Infowars.com Obama limited edition Obama Joker shirt. You know, we've had so many people ask us to bring that back, but I promised it was limited edition. So we haven't offered that in over a year. But I think we ought to come out with whoever the Republican nominee is on the back as a Joker, because it's such an iconic image, and whoever, and then Obama on the front. In fact, that's something I want to tell Tim Pieczenik to get on the ball with, so we want to get that out. The great job the crew does there in the back with our graphics people. Maybe have Kay come up with a new Obama Joker, iconic, and then a new, whoever the Republican nominee is, unless it's Ron Paul. And we come up with something with Ron Paul's good, but then the Joker's bad. Who knows? But down here in the lower left-hand corner, he's wearing the Obama Joker shirt. And then it says, war is not the answer. 9/11 was an inside job. I don't believe the liberal media. Impeach Supreme Court. Corporations are not the people. And no nukes, with a live free or die Infowars.com sticker. And the 9/11 inside job sticker is also an Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com sticker. See that? That's just awesome. And yes, I have radio listeners always emailing. What do you mean, look at that? We're on the radio here. That's where we reach the lion's share of our audiences, AM and FM, XM. But global shortwave, WWCR. But we're also streaming to prisonplanet.tv viewers at prisonplanet.tv. And there's also Prison Planet Nightly News there, Infowars Nightly News at prisonplanet.tv or InfowarsNews.com. Okay, I'll get into Fast and Furious, these other reports. And then Pieczenik's coming up to finish up what he was talking about Friday. Coming up here in the last 30 minutes of the next hour. But let's go to Tim in Wisconsin. Let's move quick now to get to everybody. Go ahead, Tim.
All right, Alex, a few great ideas and stuff. Well, first of all, about the Citibank and the one lady that got arrested. I think all Infowars listeners should close all their Citi accounts, and if there's any local businesses that do business with Citi, tell them you're not going to, patronize them as long as you do business with that, and show them the video of that, because I'll just discuss it.
I'm glad you called about that, because I mentioned that yesterday on the radio and on TV, but I didn't make a big enough deal about it. We should probably do a news report tonight if we have time. It turns out the Washington blog at Infowars.com, we posted it, found a whole bunch of examples of people being arrested trying to shut their accounts. And police just pour in and say it's a disturbance. And the people... banks are trying to not give people their money. And this is very dangerous, though, because they want to have a bank holiday, and they love to shut the banks down and then blame it on the people, then devalue the currency over a week, and then you can get your money out. It's just devalued now. Who knows what they're going to pull? But people certainly have a right to get their money out. What do you think of all these videos? You're talking about the Citibank. There's a whole bunch of banks are doing.
Well, what I think everyone needs to do is all these big banks is cancel their accounts and just go to a local credit union. And then what else I think is, basically any local businesses should just boycott them if they're using Citibank, and then just have them cancel their accounts or switch. So.
Well, my audio was choppy. This Skype works pretty good, but it breaks up a few times a day. That's why we're on the road testing it out as we're getting ready to go on the road with speaking engagements and things. But were you able to hear my comment and my question, though, that there's a whole bunch of this going on where banks won't give people their money?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy and stuff. I think both of the big banks just need to pull out, all of your funds out of the accounts and stuff. That's what I'm going to, do. And I just switch to a local credit union. That's what I'm doing right now, is transferring from my bank account to a credit union. And then what else people like should do is say any local businesses are doing business with Citigroup or any of the other big banks, just put pressure on them to move to a small town bank or credit union and move their funds from the big banks. I think that will definitely hurt them. And then I don't know, maybe call Citigroup and put them on notice that Infowars, all their 13 million listeners are just going to be boycotting and closing their accounts and stuff. I think that'll maybe make them regret doing that today, because that was just awful police state tactics. And
no, I agree with you. Citigroup, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, these are the groups. And we've got our stuff at a Texas bank. We actually have some in one of the big mega banks. We can do international things because a lot of local banks won't do international, or it's next to impossible, like to pay Watson and his brother and people. But we've got to move towards, well, I am in the local credit union as well. That's most important. Your local banks are the lifeblood of the community. They're actually loaning money, helping people. We need to support those and get out of the big mega banks. I totally agree with you. Good to hear from you. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to Julio in Illinois. Julio, welcome.
Alejandro Jones, buenas tardes. How are you, man?
Good, man.
How are you? Big debate tonight. I'm sick of Herman Cain. Hopefully everyone can check out that Herman Cain confronting on the Federal Reserve.
None.
I got to, I asked him specifically. I got to meet a good friend. Hopefully he's a new friend of freedom, Tim from We Are Change Chicago. He's right there in front of all these media, Chicago Sun-Times, CBS, ABC. I'm just asking him about the Federal Reserve printing money out of thin air. I got him to admit.
Okay, because I've seen the We Are Change videos. I've seen the We Are Change videos, Julio, and I never knew who you were. So I asking Herman Cain the questions.
Yeah. I was right next to all these media people, and you can see he didn't want to answer those questions. And he was talking about the Constitution all day to these Tea Party supporters, talking about, I support the Second Amendment, and they're not going to take our guns. Yet he loves Alan Greenspan, whose wife is Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC, who is supporting Occupy Wall Street. It's 1984, Alex, and I feel awful, and Tim and I were talking about this. We just feel awful for all these people who support Herman Cain. They're just going to get stabbed in the back. We were telling people the new talking point about Ron Paul is his foreign policy. Well, if you look at 2008 and now, he's leading with military support and donations, correct? So what, the military's bad? They don't know what they're talking about?
Look, it's more than that. Ron Paul's saying we don't need a new war with Iran. We're bankrupt. But the banksters want to get us deeper into bankruptcy. And last week, the media was attacking him, going, look, Ron Paul doesn't want to attack Iran, but look, they wanted to attack us. And now it turns out, of course, it's all made up baloney. That whole plot was fake, so the green light has dimmed quite a bit. And we may not see that strike happen. The problem is now they're talking about more Iranian fake plots they're going to bring out. So they don't have maneuvers going on in and around Iran right now for nothing. And Congressman King calling for war for nothing. This is what elements of Israel and the U.S. government want right now, called diversion. But getting back to what you're talking about, for those that haven't seen it, I know we linked to it last week at Infowars.com and also on the Alex Jones YouTube channel. You did a great job asking Herman Cain real questions. In fact, I meant to play that clip. I'm going from memory here. But doesn't he say, I don't agree with Bernanke right now. I don't like all of this printing money out of thin air. Doesn't he say that word for word in your video?
The Fed has a dual mission right now, and we need to get them back to sound economic policy or sound money, stealing Ron Paul's words. And, he's just, I got to.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying, though. I've seen a Herman Cain quote. I was asking a question about that, though. I've seen a Herman Cain quote, Julio, where Herman Cain says, listen, I work for the Federal Reserve. We need to get it back to its role. We need to shrink it. Well, its role is never to be shrunk. And he said, we don't need it just printing money out of thin air. What do you think it's always done? And it doesn't just create money. The federal government could do that. Then it's we want that or not. These are debt notes, debt instruments, like derivatives, putting us into slavery every dollar that's printed. So I know there's a video clip. I saw it this weekend. I meant to send it to Jerem, but never did. I think it's your video where he says, I don't think we should have the Federal Reserve just printing money out of thin air. I know there's a quote of him saying that. Well, what do you think the Federal Reserve does? That's my point, Julio.
Yeah, Tim was the one who edited the video. He did a great job. And Herman Cain was saying the Federal Reserve was working well from 1913 till about 2000. And then this is when the only time the Federal Reserve has done something wrong was printing money out of thin air, and talking about Alan Greenspan, the traitor